Hello my friends and welcome to the 16th class in our writing course. Today my friends we are going to carry on talking about punctuation marks. This is part 2 into which we are going to cover the dash, the colon, the quotation mark and the apostrophe. Now my friends we are going to start with the first one, which is the dash. Allow me before I start talking about the dash to explain very important points about it. The first point, my friends, is that the dash is very important for both readers and writers who are interested in narrative pieces of writings like paragraphs, essays, articles, or even novels, especially for those writers who want to convey an emotional message to their readers, or the readers who want to understand the feelings of the characters in a novel or any other narrative pieces of writing. The second point, my friends, is that contrary to what a lot of students have thought, that we have only one type of dash and it is only the dash, the normal dash. Well, surprise, surprise, we have two types of dashes. The first one is the long dash, or we call it EM dash. The second one is called the short dash or the EN dash. I'm going to start talking about the first one, which is the long dash, EM, and I will explain its uses. After that, I will explain the other one. Let's start, my friends, here with the EM dash. The dash is generally, my friend, a horizontal punctuation mark longer than a hyphen. Generally, the EM dash and the EN dash generally are longer than the hyphen, and here they are used to create a break or a pause in a sentence. As we said before, it's an emotional one, just like the exclamation point, and the dash is generally, my friends, more emphatic than a comma, and that means that it's stronger in terms of making the pause, but it is still less final than the period, which means when you stop reading on a period, you give the period longer time than the dash. And here, my friends, let's talk about the EM dash and its uses. The first one here, my friends, is to indicate a parenthetical or an explanatory information with more emphasis than a comma or parenthesis. And here, my friends, I have this example and I will read it emotionally. My friends Richard and John stood by me during those hard days. Generally, my friends, in here the writer wants to emphasize that only those two people, John and Richard, stood next to him or next to her during a hard time. And here, my friends, we make long pauses. We say, my friends Richard and John. In here to emphasize, then I continue, stood by me during those hard days. The second use, my friends, here is that we use the EM dash to indicate a sudden break or change in thought. Generally, my friends, the novelist always tries to make his or her novel looks like a real situation, to make the reader enters to the world of the story. In here, for example, my friends, we have two people. The first one wants to tell the other one something, and then for example, in the last moment, in the last second, the speaker decides not to tell what he or she wanted to say. Say, for example, here, I was about to say, oh, never mind. This way, we read the sentence again. I was about to say something, oh, never mind. In here, my friends, we have the other example. You promised me a new bike. For how long should I wait? In here, I give a pause like a child talking to his father, trying to express a kind of frustration or annoying. And here, my friends, this third use is to create a dramatic pause or afterthought. In here, my friends, just like the previous one, I can read it emotionally. I say, I think I locked the door. Well, at least I hope I did. And here, my friends, this helps the reader to understand the feelings, the confusion of the character saying this line. The second example here, my friends, we finally accomplished our lifelong dream to graduate from university. Again, my friends, I repeat, we finally accomplished our lifelong dream to graduate from university. Again, my friends, in here, I give a pause in order to show the listener or the reader that what comes after it, or I mean the dash, is very important. The fourth and the final use of the EM dash, which I would like to discuss here, was discussed previously to introduce a list or an example or an explanation. And in here, my friends, I would like to remind you that we discussed the same point while discussing compound sentences and how to link two independent clauses inside one compound sentence. I think it was class 6 or 7, I don't remember. And we said that we can use colon or a dash interchangeably for these purposes. I will give some examples here, my friends. Example number 1, we will need to buy sugar, cheese, coffee, and some herbal tea. And here, my friends, I use it to start a list. Another one here to give an explanation. I say IELTS exam is not impossible. Mr. Odate can help us to get a high score with his techniques. And here, my friends, I am explaining why the IELTS exam is not impossible. This is the first independent clause, which represents a general statement, and this one here, my friend, represents the explanation of the first one, which is the other independent clause. And here, the third example, mammals are not always social creatures. For examples, in here, my friends, we give a pause like we are giving example. Dogs don't live in groups. And my friends, we still have the short dash, which is called the EN dash, and it has only two uses. Again, my friends, I would like to remind you that it is shorter than the long dash or the EM dash, but still it is longer than the hyphen. And in here, my friends, we have two uses for it. The first one is to indicate ranges, like the example, I lived in Canada from 2004 till 2016, or we give it for pages 65 to 83. The second use, my friends, is to connect two nouns of equal weight, which refers to the fact that these two nouns combined by the short or the en dash should be from the same, for example, let's say classification, like two cities. We have the New York-London flight, a teacher-student relationship or friendship. Generally, my friends, the two words are closely related to one another. Now, my friends, let's start talking about the colon quickly. The colon, my friends, again, were discussed in the class talking about compound sentences and how to join two independent clauses into one compound sentence. We said we have the coordinators, the fanboys, then we said that we have the conjunctive adverbials, and then we said that we have the semicolon. Then we talked about the colon and the dash, which are used interchangeably. And talking about colon, I would like to give you a, let's say, nice metaphor. Think of it, I mean the colon, think of it as a signpost that tells the reader, hey, what comes next is related to what I just said. And here, my friends, we used it, the colon, in order to show the reader that what is going to come after these colon is closely related to what have just written or said. And here, my friends, we have those uses, 4 uses. The first one is to introduce a list, an example or an explanation, just like the EM dash as we talked here before. And as we said, my friends, in the class discussing the compound sentences, the second use, my friends, for the colon is to introduce a quotation. Let's take this example. A philosopher once said, I use the colon then, love is the power of soul. Again, my friends, I would like to remind you of quotation marks. Those are the American ones. You can use the British ones. But in case you used the British ones, you would have to put the period out of the quotation marks. In here, my friends, to tell the time, let's meet at 3:15 p.m. And this in here, we separate the hours from the minutes using the colon. And finally, my friends, we use the colon in ratios and proportions. Consider these examples, my friends. The ratio of men to women in the study was 3:1. It means each 4 people surveyed contained 3 men and 1 woman. And here, mix the paint in 5:2 ratio of blue to white. In here means every 5 liters, let's say 5 kilograms of blue paint needs 2 kilograms or 2 liters from the white one to get the desirable color. And finally, my friends, I would like to mention quickly how and why I should use the colon. I use the colon, my friends. In brief, colon sets something up for the reader, whether it is a list, explanation, example, quote, or the time, and it creates a connection between what comes before it and what comes after it in terms of information and other things. Now, my friends, let's talk about the quotation mark, which are also called the quotes or the inverted commas. We use them in direct quotation or direct speech, my friends. We have this example. Sarah said, I will not go to the party. And here, my friends, we literally report what Sarah said, word by word. And this type of quotation is called a direct speech, because in the indirect speech, we should transfer, for example, I into she, will into would, and we should consider the tenses and the pronouns. But here, my friends, as I said, we report what she said letter by letter. The second use, my friends, here in titles of short works like articles, songs, and stories. And here, my friends, let me read the example for you. My favorite song on the album is A New Day Has Come. And of course, my friends, this song is for Celine Dion, who is the best singer in the world. And now here, the second example. Have you read Shakespeare's play, The Tempest? And here, my friends, A New Day Has Come and The Tempest are the names of a song and let's say a play. That's why we isolated them with quotation mark. In the third use, my friends, here we have special emphasis or irony. Generally, my friends, they are called the scare quotes, which refers to the ironic use of the word. And as you know, irony is to say something and you mean quite the opposite. In here, my friends, let me read the example. The restaurant claimed to offer fresh seafood. In here, my friend, we say fresh seafood when we read the sentence, because we want to say indirectly that the restaurant lied to us and told us that the seafood was fresh and it wasn't. And the second one here, my friends, can you believe her? She has just called my Ferrari a turtle. A turtle. And here, my friends, also we refer to the word turtle as an irony because the Ferrari is the fastest car in the world, as they say. And here, my friends, we use it for ironical purposes. And in the fourth use, my friends, we use it in discussing words as words. For example, here, my friends, we say the pronoun they is used for both people and things in plural. Generally, my friends, when we use they, we say they are my friends, they are my cats. And here, my friends, we use they as a word, not as a pronoun. And we are explaining the word in this example. And for the second example, my friend, we say I is a subject pronoun. And in here again, we use the word I not to refer to someone for me, for myself, but I as a word, and grammatically it's a function word, which is a subject pronoun. The third example, we have dogs is a plural noun. Again, my friends, we use dogs as a normal word here, my friend, and we discuss it in this context. Number 5, we use it in nicknames or specific terms. For example, here we say the term photosynthesis describes how plants convert energy, light into energy. And here, my friends, we enclosed the term photosynthesis with quotation marks so that we say that we are explaining this term by itself. And in here, my friend, we enclosed the term photosynthesis into the quotation mark just to refer or just to emphasize that we are talking about this term specifically. The second one for nicknames, here we have this is my nephew. Her nickname is Moody Doody. And before I finish talking about quotation mark, my friends, I would like to talk about something very important. Generally, we have two writing styles, the American one and the British one. In the American one, we use the double quotation commas or the double quotation mark, and in the British, we use the single one. But generally, in the American, if we have a quotation inside another, we use the single one for the subquotation, while in the British one, we use the double one. Now, my friends, let's discuss these two examples. Sarah said, I will come, but my mom said, I will not let you stay for long, so I will go back early. And here, my friends, we report what Sarah said in black, and Sarah reported what her mother told her in red. So we have a quotation inside a quotation. For the American style, we use for the main quotation, we use the double, let's say the double commas or the double quotation mark. For the sub quotation or the inside quotation, we use the single, while the situation is the opposite for the British. And here we have the single for the main one and the double in the inside quotation. And now, my friends, after we have talked about the quotation mark, let's go and talk about the apostrophe, which is the easiest punctuation mark. In here we have, my friends, we use it to indicate position. And in here we have 4 cases. The first one for singular nouns. We have singular nouns not ending with S. Generally, when we want to use the possessive S, my friends, we add the apostrophe, then we use the S. And here we have Sarah's car, Ali's house. But if the singular noun ends with an S, and here, my friends, we have 2 options. The first one is to deal with it as a normal noun not ending with S, and we add the apostrophe and the possessive S. We say the boss's house, for example, my boss's house. And here, my friends, I can also use only an apostrophe for position, and it is going to be understood that I didn't want to write another S so that we have a lot of S's. So we have my boss house also accepted. We have also another example. This is James's book, or this is James' book. Both examples are correct, but generally, my friends, when you use, for example, here, when you use the American style, you should stick to it from the beginning till the end. When you use the British style, you have to stick to it. In here, my friends, also, if you use one style, you have to stick to it till the end of your writing. Otherwise, my friends, the examiner or the reader will doubt or will be skeptical about your writing skills. And here, my friends, we have the second case, which is using possession s or possessive s with the plural nouns. We have two options also. We have plural nouns and not ending with s, like the word children. And here, my friends, you see that the word children is an irregular plural noun, and in here we can use the s, the children's playground, people's opinion. While, my friends, here we have plural nouns ending with s, we can discuss these examples. Let's talk about the first one. We have the teacher's room or the teacher's room. In here, my friends, in the teacher's room, when the apostrophe is before the s, it refers that we have one teacher, a singular noun. So it is the teacher's office, one teacher's room. And here, my friends, we have the teacher's room. In here, this apostrophe comes after the s, which means that we have here two s's together. The first one is the plural s, means the teachers is a plural noun, and then we have another s, which is the possession s. That's why we say the teacher's room is the room of more than one teacher. For example, we have 3 or 4 or 5 teachers, while in the first example we have one teacher and the room belongs to this teacher only. The other example, we have the dog's garden or the dog's garden. Again, my friends, if the apostrophe comes before the s, this refers or this indicates that the garden is, or the garden belongs to one dog, while if we say the dog's garden and the apostrophe is after the s, this refers to the fact that the garden belongs to more than one dog. In here we have two s's, the plural s, and we have the possession s. The second use, my friends, for the apostrophe is to indicate contraction, and we all know that the term contraction means omission of letters. We have don't, do not, and the contraction is don't, will not, won't, they are, there, and could have, could have. And generally, my friends, in short, we use the apostrophe to show position or letters have been left out, as you see here, my friends. That's it for today, my friends. Again, I am so sorry for making these punctuation mark classes a little bit long, but we have to. Again, my friend, punctuation marks are very important for both readers and writers. People who want to develop their skills in reading or in writing, they should know more about punctuation marks. So if you don't understand a point in this class, my friends, try to play this video again and try to play Kahoot games which are related to dash, colon, quotation mark, and apostrophe. Again, my friends, try to study this topic very hard because it's very important. See you in the next classes, my friends, and I hope that next class is going to be the last one in punctuation marks. Thank you and goodbye.